Good morning. This is Dr.Muayyad from the University of Kerbala. Today we're going to give a lecture about reading comprehension. The topic of this lecture is what is creative thinking. The picture is shown to you above. You can see. What do you think of this picture? What is the baby doing? Of course, there are many possible answers. For example, number one, she uses the hand. Number two, she uses her foot. Number three, he uses a toe. Number four, he uses his body. Five, she uses her mouth. Six, she uses yoga. Um, Now, these possible answers reflect a kind of creative thinking among the students. In the reading passage, the writer teaches the students how to be a creative thinker. The passage sheds light on creative thinking. Creative thinking, as the passage says, might refer to a person who wants to know everything about all kinds of things. It means a kind of knowledge, and this knowledge is essential for a creative thinker. However, knowing everything doesn't mean someone is creative. There are many people who know lots of facts, but they are not creative. So the point is that real a real thing is what we do with our knowledge. It is a search for ideas, manipulating the ideas, use foolish, crazy, and impractical thoughts, put them together to create new ones. And these people might break the rules and unusual outlook. The writer in the passage gave some examples, such as Johann Gutenberg, who combined unconnected ideas, and then Grace Hooper, who wanted to explain the meaning of nanosecond to non-technical computer uses. Then another example of Franz Joseph Haydn, the musician, who played music to a duke. And lastly, Picasso, the artist, in welding old bicycle to create a head of a ball. And then the writer raised a question: why don't we think creatively? And the reasons are given in the passage. Number one is that we don't need to be creative, as we have as we have this as a bad habit. Number two, staying with our routines without thinking of change. Number three, we are taught not to be creative in schools. Right in the passage concludes that there are some times when you need to be creative and generate new ideas to accomplish objectives and be happy in our achievements. Now we have covered the reading passage and we come to the exercises. Now we have the exercises. After we read understanding the text. Page 54. A. Comprehension. For each item below, fill in the correct circle. Number 1. Identifying the author's purpose. The main purpose of the reading is to A. Explain how the printing press was invented. B. Teach readers how to think creatively. C. Explain why Haydn wrote the Farewell Symphony. D. Criticize teachers and educational systems. The possible answer is B. Teach readers how to think creatively. Number 2. Identifying the author's purpose. By giving readers some quick exercises to do, the author gives them an opportunity to A. Learn some interesting facts. B. Argue with his main point. C. Question the meaning of life. D. Think something different. The possible answer is B. Think something different. 3. Finding the main idea. The main idea of this reading is that A. A creative mind can transform one thing into another in an original way. B. The key of being creative is to have a lot of knowledge about different things. C. Creative people can understand what people are thinking. D. Creative people sometimes break the rules to explore new ideas. The possible answer is D. Creative people sometimes break the rules to explore new ideas. 4. Scanning for details. According to the author, people who think creatively do all of the following except A. Stay on routine thought paths. B. Try to learn everything they can about a wide range of topics. C. Look at the same thing as everyone else and think something different. D. Use crazy, foolish, and impractical ideas. The answer is A. Stay on routine thought paths. 5. Making inferences. After reading this article, you can infer that the author would probably approve of teachers who A. Ask a student about their original ideas. B. Have a student guess what they are thinking. C. Give students more knowledge. D. Transfer their own attitude to students. The answer is A. Ask a student about their original ideas. 6. Identifying the author's purpose. The purpose of including the conversation with Carol Ulay is to A. Give an example of poor thinking skills. B. Illustrate how to think creatively. C. Introduce a definition of creative people that the author agrees with. D. Make an argument against Ulay's definition. The possible answer is D. Make an argument against Ulay's definition. 7. Understanding tone. The overall tone of the reading is A. Serious. B. Sad. C. Amusing. D. Angry. The answer is A. Serious. Now we come to B. Vocabulary. Underline these words in the reading passage on pages 51 to 53. Then match the words with their definitions. Number 1, we have techniques. 2, perspective. 3, manipulate. 4, consist of. 5, can replace. 6, postpone. Then on the other column we have A, particular ways of doing things. B, not very exciting or unusual, ordinary. C, delayed. D, is made up of. E, use or control something with skill. F, the way that you think about something, your point of view. Now we have exercise C, consider the issues. Work with a partner to answer the questions below. Number 1. The author claims that through creative thinking, we can make the ordinary extraordinary and the unusual commonplace. Give an example from the reading of how an ordinary thing was made into something extraordinary. Then give an example of how something unusual was made into something commonplace. Of course, the example is about number 1. The example given in the passage about how an ordinary thing was made into something extraordinary. When Gutenberg asked himself, what if I took a bunch of these coin bunches and put them under the force of the wine press so that they left the image on paper? The resulting combination was the printing press and movable type. Another example of how something unusual was made into something commonplace, and that is the labor grievances became symphonies. Number 2, try to think of possible solution to exercises 1 and 2, lines 63 and 72. Compare your solutions with the ones on page 150. Did these exercises encourage you to think creatively? Explain how. Number 2A, the two words are switch horses. B, try to put the newspaper in a doorway with one person standing on each side. Of course, yes, I agree. It made me think about these solutions. 3. The author claims that most people don't think creatively because they have not learned to do so in school. Do you agree? In your experience, do teachers ask about their students' original ideas? Should they? Um, and the author claims that most people don't think creatively. No, I don't agree with him. And then, do you agree that teachers ask a student about the students' original ideas? Yes, they asked, and they should do that to give the students a chance to explain what they are thinking of. Now we have an exercise on page 56, building vocabulary. We have metaphor and simile. These are figures of speech. A figure of speech is a way of using words creatively. Some figures of speech are metaphors and similes that make a comparison between two unlikely things. For example, we have a metaphor: he was a heart of stone, or he has a heart of stone. And when we have simile, she can run like the wind. We have an exercise. Choose the best interpretation of each figure of speech in bold. For each item below, fill in the correct circle. Number 1. Knowledge is the stuff from which new ideas are made. A. The hardware. B. The raw material. C. The creativity. The answer is B. The raw material. 2. You use crazy, foolish, and impractical ideas as stepping stones to practical new ideas. A. Answers to problems. B. Keys to happiness. C. Ways to achieve a goal. C. Ways to achieve a goal. 3. We are creatures of habit. When it comes to business of living, everything from doing paperwork to tying our shoes to haggling with telephone solicitors. So, what is the word that matches the word business? The business of living. We have A. The profession or occupation. B. The process or activity. C. The topic or subject. The answer is A. The profession or occupation. Now we go to exercise B. Reread the author's story about Franz Joseph Haydn's orchestra, lines 40 to 48, then answer the questions below. The question number 1. The composer decided to let music do the talking. What did the orchestra want to say to the Duke? Number 2. In what way did the music talk to the Duke? Number 1. The orchestra wants to say to the Duke about getting some time off, or it may be, you can have another answer, get some time off as a few musicians can do the work. 2. Number 2. In what way did the music talk to the Duke? The possible answer: by writing the farewell symphony, the performance began with a full orchestra, and when each musician finished his part, he blew out his candle and left the stage. Another possible answer is that the use of personification: when the Duke saw the performance, he felt convinced by that non-verbal language. Now we have another exercise. Exercise C on page 57. Complete each figure of speech with your own idea. Number 1. It rained so hard yesterday the sky was like. The possible answer is a shower or a pouring shower. 2. My mind was dash after 6 hours of studying. My mind was blowing after 6 hours of studying. 3. I finally took a vacation after 5 years. I felt like space. Like what? Like a butterfly, or like a cheetah when I run the race. 4. I received a huge unexpected bonus from my employer. The big check was dash. The answer is what? The answer is the big check was amazing. 5. The movie I saw last night was so boring. It was space. What is the answer? It was terrible, or it was like a game of chess. 6. The 5-year-old at the birthday party was screaming and laughing. Like what? Like a goat or like a monkey? 7. My feet were space after the 10-mile hike. It was exhausting. So the space can be filled with burning. My feet were burning. 8. My friend John writes such long in email. Every email from him is like a novel or like a giraffe. So we ended with exercise C and we come to reading skill on page 58. In this exercise, for each sentence, write the literal meaning of the bold-faced figure of speech, then use context to guess the figurative meaning. Underline the words that helped you understand the figurative meanings. Number 1. I once asked advertising legend Carly LA what makes the creative person tick. What makes the creative person ticks? LA responded, the creative person wants to be known it all. So what is the literal meaning of the word tick? And what is the figurative meaning? The literal meaning is tick means select. The figurative meaning is behave in a certain way or motivated. 2. Their knowledge just sat in their crania because they didn't think about what they knew in any new ways. The literal meaning of sat in their crania is skull, and the figurative meaning not a creative. 3. By changing perspective and playing with our knowledge, we can make the ordinary extraordinary and the unusual commonplace. In this way, one presses squeeze out of information. So the word squeeze is the literal meaning is what? Is a press, while the figurative meaning means force us to think. And then we have exercise on page 59, applying the reading skill. Read the article, then write the figurative meaning of each numbered figure of speech below. Underline the words that help you guess the meaning. This is the reading passage, the problem of problem solving. We have 6 expressions. The first one, crushed by the weight of our problems. 2, churn out possible solutions. 3, well has run dry. 4, popping up like popcorn. 5, come up empty-handed. 6, in a different light. So what is the figurative meaning for each of these items? Number 1, crushed by the weight of our problems is to be oppressed or under burden overwhelming us. 2, churn out possible solutions. The answer is to think of something without much thought. 3, well has run dry. The figurative meaning, there is no more things left or exhausted. 4, popping up like popcorn. The meaning is appearing and become available. 5, come up empty-handed, without gaining anything or not bringing anything. 6, in a different light to see things differently. These are the possible answers. Of course, you might give other possible answers to these. We come to the end of our lesson today. What is creative thinking? Thank you very much for listening.